everyone. Welcome to Beyond Borders Dilemma podcast. I hope you are enjoying the episodes so far. I would entreat everyone to go and watch all our YouTube episodes and also listen to the podcast or Spotify versions if you don't have time to sit and watch. For today is going to be an interesting topic because I think now we are moving away from the school or the international student ideologies and going right into professions. So for today, I have someone who left the lab and now is a scientist. I mean, not that scientists don't stay in the lab anyways, but left the school lab and now is an actual scientist. For many, scientists graduate school is framed as training for academia, but science does not only live in the universities. On today's episode, I want listeners to understand why scientists leave academia for industry, to see how scientific training translates into industry roles, and also navigate the emotional, practical, and immigration realities of the transition. And finally, to redefine what it means to do science. This episode is about a scientist who took their training into industry and what the transition really looks like. My guest today is a fellow entomologist. She is Dr. Sabita Ranabath, a research scientist in a biotech company in California. She has her PhD in entomology from Kansas State University, where her research focused on integrated pest management of stored product pests at food facilities. She is originally from Nepal. She has published several peer-reviewed articles and presented her work at regional, national, and international conferences. This lady has a lot of information and knowledge about stored product pests, and today I'm glad to have her on my show. Welcome, Dr. Ranabath, to my podcast.
Thank you, Naomi. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Well, to begin with, let me chip this in. Please, if you've not subscribed, do well to go down there and subscribe. We have so much for you this season. The educational content keeps coming, and we are growing. So I hope you join the community. To begin with, can you tell us a brief story of how you became a scientist from Nepal to the US?
Sure. Yeah, so again, everyone, I'm Sabita Ranabath. I'm originally from Nepal, where I did my undergraduate in agriculture. And that's the time where I got the chance to be familiar with the entomology. I took the course entomology and I was fascinated by these tiny insects and how they impact the real world. And at that time, I knew I want to go to the graduate school for that wonderful career. And then at that time, I developed my interest in entomology and I applied for masters to the different graduate school. And then I was familiar with this term integrated pest management. And when I looked for that, I found the wonderful research topic in urban pest management. And that time I applied for masters at New Jersey in Rutgers University. And that's how I came from Nepal to US to pursue my masters. And after my master's, I moved to Manhattan, Kansas, because my partner was there doing PhD. And that time I worked at USDA as a lab technician. And that's the time when I got familiar with the stored product insects and their management techniques by the different possible ways. And after my PhD, I came to this biotech company at California, where currently I'm working as a research scientist. Yeah, it's pretty exciting and fun so far.
Okay, great. As a fun question, what do you think about urban pests and stored product pests? Which ones do you think controlling them is difficult? Controlling pests of urban
Uh-huh.
and then that of stored product pest.
That's a very good question, actually. I'm like always working on every time the new system or new spaces. So urban pest, it's more like the pests that are impacting in the home, right? Like rodent, cockroaches, bed bugs, and all these household structural pest that is very nuisance and cause a lot of trouble. We know that. On the other hand, store product insect paste, that is like very new for me when I started to work on it. These are very tiny insect species that can attack your food after harvest and which can cause like huge significant loss. So causing like 100 billion of dollars losses every year. So both are very
Economically
yeah,
important.
exactly economically important, and it's very important to know them and how to control them. So yeah, it's fun working with them.
Anyway, let's go back. When you started the grad school, what did you think your career would look like? Some people already preconceive what they want to do. Others just go with the flow, and then once they get there, they decide what they want to do. With you, how was it?
Yeah, actually, for me, to be honest, like when I started my master's, it was just like, okay, I want to know more about this field. So I just went for that. But when I started my master's, during that time, I got the opportunity. Like I learned so many new things. And yeah, I was very young and learning everything, like I was like, oh, what is this? Like I was exploring everything. But later, like during my PhD, when I started my PhD, I honestly imagine myself as being a principal investigator in the lab, like maybe the government lab, having my own lab and then mentoring a student through the research, like that. Because I was also highly inspired by my advisor at that time at USD lab. So I thought like I will probably go on that path. Yeah.
Interesting. So you were thinking of being in the path of a USDA employer,
Yeah.
employee. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That
that
one.
that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So
And
what
then
changed?
oh, yeah, I had always that in my mind, but also on the other hand, I think when I was again like my graduate student, I got chance to work in collaboration with different company people, like the industry people, small company, big company. In our lab, we do all collaborations with these different industrial people, and then we do like a lot of product testing, and then product like related to the research and product development. So that the time like I used to test a lot of product for the company, like either it's good or not, either it's insecticide or either it's like anything to control this pest. And then at that time, I used to think, like because I'm very interested in this fundamental science, I used to think maybe I can develop something, every time when I work with this product, they send it to us like the sample, and I always think maybe I can go to the industry and then I can work from the very beginning, and then I can have that impacting product for controlling this pest. I always used to think like that. So that's how it made me motivated to go to this R&D field in our, yeah.
Okay. So you got exposed to industry whilst you were doing your PhD.
That is correct, yeah.
And then, yeah, that actually impacted your decision. How would you describe your decision making? Was it because it was an opportunity that was available, or is a lifestyle that you think it would help, like what it will enhance what your lifestyle is, or is something that was sustainable, so you decided to go for it?
Um, so I would say um, like everything, all the aspects.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was looking for a job, we were international students. So before my defense, or I'll say before my graduation, I tried to reach out to the all. I tried to keep my option open
Mm-hmm.
because of all this job market, and then also the challenges for the international student that time. So I that time what I tried to do is I tried to think about like what could be more practical for me, like which path is practical for me to approach.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to look something that is sustainable. Definitely, like going to the industry, one thing I always think about lifestyle that impacts a lot because, when I was a graduate student, like at some moment I do feel like pressure, maintaining the work-life balance. Like
Balance.
student, you are always working, taking classes, exams, and then publications, all these things. So I always thought, in industry maybe there is a way to balance it. So it definitely, I thought that it will be less stressful.
Mm. Okay. And how does it look like now that you are part of it? Did you get what you wanted?
Well, it's totally different. I will tell you, it's It's not exactly what you imagine, but definitely it's a very different learning and growing environment, I would say. You can do a lot of things independently, or at least right now where I'm working, it's a very fast-paced environment. So I think over the time I have learned how to learn the thing very quickly, how I can be adaptable to grow on this environment. And work-life balance, it definitely it's up to you, like how you manage it.
You manage it.
Yeah, exactly. And I've definitely, like now, since this is a job, we don't have to like worry too much about, hey, going to the lab on the weekend, at least to collect some more data, something like that. So I like that aspect. Yeah.
Okay, great. Great. So now you thought of the job,
Mm-hmm.
you applied for it. How did you prepare yourself in transitioning from a grad school to the industry or to becoming an employee at the industry?
Yeah, that's a very good and important question, Naomi. I
Mm-hmm.
think. So, I would say there are a lot of aspects. I feel very grateful now that I worked that time. For example, I would say like in the like when I started my PhD, I always wondered how to design the experiment. How can I critically think about something so that we can develop the solution or like that. So I would say in my PhD, I have learned a lot about experimental design, data analysis, critical thinking,
Mm-hmm.
especially scientific writing, and then how to communicate and collaborate. I think that's very important skills. And during my PhD, I got the opportunity to attend a lot of conferences and then connect with people, and that really helped me like
Prepared you.
prepare for me.
Yeah, yeah. I guess you mentioned conferences as a resource, but are there any other resources that helped you in your transition?
Yeah, definitely. So right now, I think this is a very we are in technology technological driven era.
Yeah.
I definitely use like a lot of open source. Here we have, like Google, and then also LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I think it is one of the very, I'd say, good media for
Resource.
us. Yeah, for resource for us to reach out to a lot of people. Especially, it helped me to connect with the scientists who are, who transition from PhD to the already like to the working in the industry. To help me to communicate with those people, like connect with those people.
People who are now in that situation can look into these resources so they can also follow your path. What part of this process was the hardest?
You mean,
The whole process of finding a job, which part was the hardest?
oh yeah, I think the job market itself right now, I mean, even like the time when I was looking, I graduated 2 years ago. So yeah, even that time, the job market was already, it's very like difficult situation. Like, it's very hard for one job. A lot of people are competing, and sometimes there is a job opening, but they already have a candidate for that. And especially, I remember applying for so many job and didn't hear anything back. It's kind of frustrating, and also at the same time, you are looking constantly like to have something so
Mm-hmm.
that you feel more like you have something, like you feel more secure. You have
Mm-hmm.
something after you graduate that you love to work. Yeah. And for me, the hardest part, I think that time, like as an international, like everybody, how they face, like the visa situation, the
Mm-hmm.
sponsorship. Yeah, that was one challenges definitely for sure. But again, like I remember the time when I was applying for, job and didn't hear anything back. It was really challenging, and I was even thinking because even my long-term goal was going to the industry. I was thinking like I will have something. I'll keep my door open so that I'll have something that will impact on my career in the long run.
Yeah. Did you ever consider a postdoc or, I
And
mean, previously you had thought of working as an employee in the USDA. Were those also a consideration since you were like open?
yes, actually, yeah, that was my advisor was very thoughtful. Actually, he knew my situation that time, and he was saying, I could stay in the lab as a postdoc, like after my
Okay.
graduation. So that was really nice. Even though he knew like my long-term goal, I made it very clear from the beginning. Yeah.
Okay.
So
That's good.
yeah,
That's really good. And that's one thing I like about Kansas. Like everyone is so nice and they are
very nice.
so willing to help. My advisor too did the same. He was like, you can stay back if you can't find anything. But
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes you have to give your kids wings to fly. And I think we are doing well, so they are proud of us. I know the previous question you mentioned a little bit of some of the skills that you acquired whilst in school. Are there any skills that were transferred seamlessly into the industry environment?
Yes, I definitely. I think a lot of skills actually. When I initially started my PhD, I used to think if you get expert, like if you get expertise in certain specific topic, and then later it would be very helpful to get the job like in that field. But I realized over the time, it's not just like getting expert in one
The
specific.
expertise, yeah.
Exactly. So it's all like PhD teaches me like it's about when how to solve a problem when there is a problem.
Hmm.
Yeah, and for that you need a different skills definitely. And again, like one is like critically think like how we can think from the initial stage to the end stage. Yeah, that critical thinking, data interpretation, and communication skills. In
Mm.
industry, I realize how important for us to like like since I worked in the R&D as a scientist, like I go to the office, I design the experiment, I run the experiment, and I have data, I have to interpret it. So it's like it's all those skills we learn in the graduate school, so I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, yeah. And to add more to you, actually it's the skill that matters because I mean, like you said, you used to think that once you are an aspect of an urban entomology, even with urban entomology, probably your project is only on cockroach.
Correct,
There are
exactly.
so many other urban pests that are out there. So it's just a transferable skill that you need to develop. I did start product for my master's. I worked on mites for my PhD. So it's like I am all over the place. And now I'm working on molax, which is like so different from, it's not even an insect. So
Uh-huh.
it's just a transferable skills from one thing to another, which we learn at the grad school. And we do appreciate that, like you said, communication skill, how to collaborate with people, because in industry you work as a team helps, because in university you have your colleagues in the lab that you work with. All those are training skills that you can develop to know how to relate to people when you are in industry. So I love your answer. And I hope people don't just take it for granted. Like I go to the lab, I do my work and leave. No, try to learn these kind of skills because it's going to help you once you move into a higher position in industry. What skills did you think mattered, but at the end of the day, you didn't even use it?
Oh, so skills.
Yeah. Something that you were bent on knowing, but after getting it, you realize that, oh, yeah, it's not worth it. Or, I mean, if you don't have anything, if everything has worked out for you, that is fine too. But,
I think that's very important question, I'll say, because again, like I thought, having like because I wasn't sure like when I started my PhD, I thought okay, I'll just gonna focus on my thesis, like how we talked about getting, specialized expertise in certain alone field would carry the
mhm,
most weight, but again, like industry often values the adaptability and communications, right?
mhm, mhm,
We know that, right?
mhm.
As just like it's very important, just like it's not about getting expert in one field. So that's one thing I feel like I noticed, like when I started I thought okay, I'm going to be expert on this field, but later I realized it's about having knowledge, like how we can transfer this skill that we learn over the
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah, perfect. And what new skills did
Mhm.
you need to learn quickly once you went into the industry environment?
The new skills. So I think the cross-functional communication, that is one important thing I think I learned, and then the product-oriented thinking. Usually when we work in the PhD, we always think about okay, I will do this work, I will publish this, and you know that's our thinking is more like I'm gonna publish this, I'm gonna
Publish.
present this, yeah. But when I joined the industry, I learned like we have to think more of like how we can think product oriented wise. Okay. like solution, I'll say. And then timeline management and other like we have to deal with the different stakeholder, the communication with the stakeholder, and understanding the commercial priorities. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, that's the thing. Like, I think I learned over and I'm still learning.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. A lot of people don't even consider that when they come, but sometimes you don't realize you are learning, but at the end of the day you sit down and you're like, "Oh, this was a skill I just got like by interacting with these people that you were not even aware that you were taking up all these knowledge from them." So that's a good thing to kind of know exactly what you have learned so far. That's a good thing. That's excellent. So did you ever had immigration problems in such a way that they did affect your job search? Because I know international students, there is a lot of limitations when it comes to finding or securing a job. Like you mentioned, some industries put it out there that we don't sponsor immigration stuff. So in that case, it takes away from how many you could have applied to. Some specifically write that you have to be a citizen, like if you're looking for a USDA job. So did these challenges affect your job search?
I mean, definitely, like for international student, it always added the complexity for the job search, and I really feel sad sometimes. There are so much eligible candidates for like the job they are looking for, but because of these visa situations, it's always complex. Like it always
Yeah.
like trouble for them. Yeah, and for me, at the very beginning, when I look for the job, I remember this visa sponsorship definitely like impact, because when you again like how you mentioned, when you applied for job, there in some job opening they do mention like, okay, do we need visa sponsorship, yes or no? If it's yes, then we are already out from that job application.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, at least that's good they mention that in some job opening. But
Mm-hmm.
notice like for some of the job they don't mention that very specifically, and then when we already like in the process of final stage, they ask the question like, hey, do you need the sponsorship?
Sponsor you.
And then
Mm-hmm.
like they have to do that, it's like and then at the last moment they said they can't, so which is really upsetting. Yeah. Luckily, like I remember that time, my partner was applying for the green card. That was like initial stage, but by the time when I graduated, we already got our like green card. So that was really one additional point for me to
Hmm.
find a job.
Yeah.
So I will say it was right timing for me. But again, I know like even like that initial stage when I just have that my student visa, and
Mm-hmm.
I was applying for the OPD. Yeah, it was a little bit tricky. But
Yeah.
later, like I think I got fortunate, I would say. Like I got the car, like green card at the right time, I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But then your husband had to go through the
exactly.
OPT processes and all. So yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't make it adds more complexities, like you're saying, to
Yeah.
applying for jobs. And I think previously I mentioned in one episode that you see people have so much capabilities, like you said, that they can contribute so much to the country, but it is what it is. So I hope anyone who is listening to doesn't get discouraged, but then go for whatever is available to them, but make an impact wherever they are.
That's one thing I would definitely, because that's what I did as well that time. I would say, we are of course building a career and we know what we want over the time, but it's always important to keep the options open, like keep your door open. Always like even if you are doing something that you don't want to work right now, that would help you eventually. You will be always
Yeah.
learning, doing things. So yeah, always keep the option open. So
Yeah. And sometimes, people always say your first job might not be your final job.
exactly.
So your first jobs, mostly sometimes it becomes your final. Most of the time, it becomes a stepping stone to another thing. And whilst you're there, it means you have to like show interest, do whatever you need to do, like I said, to make an impact so that as you progress, people will know you that you are developing a career and not just a 9 to 5 job. Let's get back to the questions.
Let's do it.
What surprised you the most about working in industry?
Okay. So what surprised me? Yeah, I mean, I knew like when I heard like when I was interacting with the scientists who were, transitioning from the student to the industry career. Like I used to hear it's like teamwork. You need to do the collaborations with the different aspects of like from research to the marketing, something like that. But I was really surprised to see how collaborative and multidisciplinary it is because I thought like it's not gonna be like that, but at least based on my experience, we are constantly interacting with the different scientists, chemists, toxicologists, field research and marketing team. Again, like the stakeholders that we like work with.
Mm-hmm.
So that is really surprising in a good way, surprising in a
Yeah.
good way.
Yeah, good. And how does collaboration, as you said, differ from academia?
Okay. For this one, I would say like that when I was a graduate student in my PhD, I worked in collaborations with a lot of other university professors, and then even in the company, people like a small company, big company. But it's more like the getting data for them. Like it was very small. I can't tell from the professor aspects, but I'm just talking from the my experience as a student.
Experience.
Yeah. And industrial collaborations, on the other hand, like at least what I feel so far is more integrated and goal oriented. I guess. I might it might be both in both case.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And like you said, if to the professor is very different because he is in his career.
exactly.
He's working. So as a student, it's a different ball game to you.
Uh-huh.
Now you are in a way in his position, the professor's position, where he's navigating all these other
Mm-hmm.
entities.
Mm-hmm.
But as a student, you're asked to do this and then you go do it, which is very, very different.
Exactly.
Yeah, it makes sense. How do deadlines, feedback, and success matrix change? When you are in school, like I feel you feel most successful when you publish a paper, your paper is accepted and it's out there.
Mm-hmm.
So how is that different from industry?
So I think in industry timeline are much faster. Yeah. Feedback is usually more direct and frequent, and I think that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
What I believe is success isn't just about the novelty, it's
Mm-hmm.
about impact, right?
And progress,
Exactly.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and whether and you are always thinking either the product that we are developing, the technology that we are developing usually solves a problem or not. So
Mm-hmm.
we are always like, yeah, the feedback, timeline, everything. I think it's very.
Fast paced. I see that. Let's talk a little bit about power and stability. Do you feel more or less power over your own work in both situation in grad school and also now in industry?
In both cases, I would say in some way more and in some way less.
Okay.
Yeah, and now I feel like I may have less freedom to pursue, the purely that curiosity driven questions. But again, like I have more ability to see my work implemented,
Mm-hmm.
influencing the real outcome. Yeah, that's how I feel more powerful sometimes. But again, like,
Yeah.
we don't have that much time, I guess, like how we did, our graduate school, like spending time doing the
Mm-hmm.
very basic things. So, yeah.
Yeah. Grad school, like every answer you want to know, you want to go deeper, you want to dig deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Every result, you want to ask more questions to clarify it.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes your publication more interesting. But here we need a product out.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't have time asking all those little questions.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Sometimes I
so
just feel like, I wish like, right now, I love what we are doing, but sometimes, you always, because you spend so much time in grad school, you are still like, you always have that backup question, even you move forward with that
mhm,
question. Yeah. It's
mhm,
like,
mhm.
oh, okay, we can like spend another 2 to 3 months just working on this, like this.
Yeah, definitely matters. And also identity question.
Mhm.
How did it feel to stop identifying yourself primarily as a student into becoming an industry person? Or yeah. So how is that transition feels like for you? Do you feel more like matured now? Do you feel like now you are more more problem solver? Like how do you identify yourself now that you are in an industry environment?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like when you are a student, you always feel like, I have my professor to, to ask a question
To
always
go back to,
back.
yeah.
And then now, like, I feel like whenever I have something, like whenever I have any project, I feel like I want it. So it's my full responsibility, like, to know what's the problem, how can I solve it, how can I, approach it, how can we implement the different techniques to solve the problem like that. It's more,
Mm.
I would say, I feel more like independent, and freedom for like the work that I have to approach it.
In whichever way you like. Okay. And how will you define yourself right now, professionally?
Oh, okay, so professionally, I again, I'm a research scientist working in research and product development in biotech company, and I would say I'm more now working on the product oriented, like to solve the issue that is related with the agriculture and food security, and like all this insects problem. Yeah.
Now, let's talk about some misconceptions and myths that are out there. What do academics misunderstand about industry scientists?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one because I heard that.
Oh, you haven't? I don't know about that. Tell me. Now I feel like I'm in for a gossip.
No, because I heard this when I was like in academia, and I wanted to go
Yeah.
to the industry. Like people were saying, "Hey, this about the industry," and I was like, "Oh."
Tell me. I'm ready. Let's go.
Yeah. So I used to hear like the industry scientists only follow the business directive without intellectual creativity. But yeah,
I'm
that's what
offended.
I mean, not all the academic people might not
Interest.
think in that way, yeah,
Oh.
but in reality, the industrial research requires the equally like enormous innovations and adaptability, scientific depth. Like we know, right, as a scientist working in the industry, how much
Yeah.
time we spend just to design
Yeah.
one experiment.
That's very interesting to me, though. And I mean, like you said, your experience is industry less intellectual than academia. Why or why not?
At all. I don't think it's like less intellectual or more intellectual. The scientific challenges are just different, Industry requires balancing services, right? With the feasibility and regulations. We know like how much regulatory work we have to consider when we develop something.
Mm-hmm.
And customers need, we have to think about that, which can be
Yeah.
actually different, like what the academia like think about the
Be
intellectual.
thinking about it. Yeah.
Exactly. And in
Yeah.
academia, again, I think it's more like when people measure the success or intellectuality, they always look about the how many publication, how much citation. It's like that. But in
Yeah.
industry, it's just different, a little bit different.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, I like both. I mean, but I actually went into industry, like you said. I want my product out there. I see publications. Yes, people look at them, people read them, but I felt like in academia, these ideas are left on the shelf.
Correct. Yeah.
And that is something I didn't want. That is something because I've always wanted an impact. And like you, I think we really have so much in common. I really wanted something out there that I can call my own. And I'm glad we are on this path. And I believe that one day we will have our product out there
Yes.
pretty soon. Yeah. So, what narrative needs to change when it comes to these misconceptions and myths?
So I feel like we have to think. I guess I would say industrial careers are not lesser version than the academic career. They are just a different ecosystem. I would say with the different strength and impacts. Right?
And objectives.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, let's go back to retrospects.
Uh huh.
Looking back, do you miss academia? And which parts do you miss most?
So yeah, definitely. I would say I do miss the academia. Like both personally, like, when I think about my friends, I mean, I do have a friends now, but that time, like how you all struggle to do some research to finish at certain point, and then you are in the lab talking with each other, supporting each other. I
Mhm.
definitely miss that, and I miss the you know that time, like exploring the scientific questions and mentoring environment. Like, you have that. I feel like now we are very fast moving, we are always doing something new, right? But that time, if you have some question, you always go back and always find a time to do on
Mhm.
to solve that question. So yeah, I
Yeah.
miss that sometime, yeah. And I
Okay.
definitely miss my friends, and friends, all like colleagues, going to the conference, the spending
Mm.
time over there. Yeah, I miss that.
Yeah. That was our holidays, I
Oh
guess.
yeah. We always look, okay, what conference we have next year.
What states are we going? I mean, that's true. And another question is, would you ever consider going back into to academia in the future?
That's a good question, Naomi. I think, again, like I am that kind of person who I always like to keep my door open. I love the thing that I'm working right now as a scientist in industry. I feel like I really could make an impact over the long term. So I feel like I'm gonna be here in industry for a long term. But again, like I wouldn't say I
Never say never.
yeah, I close the door for the academia, because possibly I will be, go back if, there is something like applied transitional science and sustainable work culture. I still value the academic research deeply. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, great. And what are you grateful for choosing differently? What is something that you're grateful for in this decision of being in industry?
Yeah, I'm grateful I allowed myself to redefine success instead
Mm-hmm.
of following a path simply because it was expected. Because
Mm-hmm.
I remember the time, a lot of my friends and even some of my teachers in my PhD, they always said, yeah, you look like you're gonna be a professor.
The same to me.
Yeah, it's like the way you mentor, the way you do the research. It looks like you're gonna be like a professor. I always feel like that do inspire me sometime, but I always knew from the heart. I in
Mhm.
the long run I want to be here. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Amazing. Now let's look at some advice that we can give to graduate students now. What should grad students now start doing if they are considering industry?
I think we mentioned that briefly earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I would say build the transferable skill early. Learn the project management, communications, collaborations, and networking.
Professional development.
Exactly, professional development. I think I think right now a lot of student in the grad school, they are already very initiative. They are doing this thing that is really nice. But before, it's like, everybody wait till the graduation or something like that. So yeah, I would
Yeah.
say, yeah, build early, like build transferable skill early.
And connections, actually, in this environment, finding work is so difficult. So it's better I feel like I need to throw this in there. Build your connections as you're going for conferences.
Mm-hmm.
Build strong connections over there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that helps sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And what mistakes should they avoid?
I would say don't isolate yourself within the academia, or I would say don't just keep yourself very reserved. Again, like for me, when I joined my PhD, I used to be very shy. I used to think like, and I even used to be. I remember I used to be very shy. To post even in the LinkedIn or to share my achievements in the like LinkedIn or Twitter, like this media and platform. And I always think if you are good, people will find you eventually. If
Mm-hmm.
you just need to be very good on that. But my advisor at that time gave me a very good advice. He told me, there are so many capable people, so many scientists.
Scientists out
Yeah,
there.
but because they isolate, they are like very reserved. They were not able to be in the place where they are supposed to be. So always
Mm-hmm.
make yourself open and
Yeah.
reach out to the people, connect to the people like that. So I would say, yeah, working on the networking and communications is very important. So you shouldn't avoid
That's
that.
amazing.
Mhm.
That's a really good answer. And what helped you most in transitioning? I think we mentioned a little bit
Mhm.
in our previous questions, but looking back, what helped you most and what can grad students also learn from it?
We are talking about this again and again because it's really important, I guess.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Networking and conversation with the people who had already made the transition. Seeing an example helped me realize there is not just one successful career path. It will, like, some people have a straight journey, some people have very ups and downs, but they will reach out there eventually. Yeah, networking with people, in conversation with the people, that would really help.
And one sentence for a grad student who is afraid to leave academia into industry. What will you tell them?
Okay, I would say your scientific value definitely doesn't disappear outside the academia. Sometimes it expands. So go for it.
I like that. I really like that. And one rapid question. If science weren't tied to institutions, what would doing science meaningful look like for you? If it wasn't tied to an institution like a university or USDA, what would doing a meaningful science mean or look like to you?
I think that would be so much fun. It's like a whole,
Well, the word that came into my mind was exploration.
yeah, exploration. Exactly. That's the word.
Yeah, yeah. Because every scientist has a curious mind. So you just want to jump from one thing to
Oh,
another.
yeah.
Yeah.
That would be
Okay,
amazing.
amazing. Well, I'm sad that we have to end here, but what this episode highlighted included science is beyond just academia, and developing skills is way better than accepting titles. So you must work on your skill as soon as possible. Do not make immigration mistakes and make immigration informed decisions so that you don't find yourself wanting. Go with what is available to you, work as hard as you can, make an impact, and then when the doors open, you'll be ready to walk through it. And lastly, redefining impact and success should be the end goal and not what people have already preconceived. So, thank you so much for all these insights and gems that you've poured out here for my viewers and my listeners. And I hope you will come back again for another topic. In concluding, if you've transitioned from grad school into industry or thinking about it, your story matters. Thank you so much, Dr. Ranabath, for sharing with us your journey and your insights.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah. Watch, listen to this podcast on wherever you get your podcast. And remember to follow us, subscribe, and be part of this community. Thank you all for listening. Bye for now.